in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. We all get started somewhere, and we all have to have a strategy to help us get from where we are to where we want to be, especially if we have decided that we want to start a business that is going to give us the life that we want. And, you know, the statistics tell us that most businesses are going to fail within the first 5 years. So when we do have successful business owners that we can model and get an example from, we should value their wisdom and their advice because they can help us navigate those obstacles and really create the business of our dreams. I am speaking with one of those experts today. Her name is Amiee Mueller. She grew up in poverty and started working in sales at age 19. She opened her first business when she was 21 years old and currently employs a team of 10 people. Her business is Vast Action Incorporated, which supports the growth and success of entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and small business owners. She has grown every single year since it was first incorporated 10 years ago. Last year, her business grew to $1.4 million a year. So she definitely knows what she's talking about. And if you're in the startup phase or in the trying to get started phase of your business, then you can really benefit by listening to what she has to say. Amiee is also the author of the book Destination Awesome, which focuses on creating the life you want, which is same as our mission here. And her book is filled with true stories of overcoming a variety of challenges. Amiee, it is such a pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
And you're joining us from the great state of Texas.
That is correct. Austin, Texas area. We love it.
All right. Yeah. Love Texas. So, you've got a great story and a great background of overcoming adversity. Before we get into your wisdom and your tips for how to grow our business and how to build a business that really works, tell us a little bit more about your story, growing up and how you got started.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think where it really started, so long ago. So my mom left when I was 2. So I did grow up with a single father, and my dad's a great guy, and he's, loving, and he's like, there's so much about him that I like. The one thing that was probably the biggest challenge in that regard was that he only went to the 8th grade in school. So he didn't even go to high school. And so the best paying job that he could get when I was a kid was cross country truck driving. And so my dad was gone most of the time because he was hauling loads all over the country. And so you're correct. You alluded to some of what was going on. But for me, what happened was, so my dad wasn't around. My mom wasn't around. My older brother, who's a couple years older than me, was there, but he took everything pretty hard. And so he wasn't actually around very much either. And so my whole childhood, I would say the thing that probably really helped define who I am is that I was alone a lot of the time. And so I was always having to figure things out. So I didn't really have role models at home to look to of how to do things correctly. So I really, focused on school. School was like a safe place for me. And I had teachers that were great role models and that kind of stuff. So I was a really good student. But as I got older, the school, looking at my family and my background, because it wasn't just me and my dad and my brother, the aunts and uncles and cousins I had in the area, the school knew that most of my family were high school dropouts. The prevalent things in my family are teenage pregnancies and dropouts and trailer parks and poverty. I mean, the school knew. They sent me home from school with lice a few times. I was that kid. The school knew that I lived in a rundown trailer park. The school knew my brother was in juvenile detention and eventually went on to jail and had a nasty drug habit. So they pretty much looked at me and went, she's probably just going to turn out like everyone else in the family. Let's just keep her calm and out of the way. So they would put me in special classes for at-risk kids until my teachers would plead for them to put me back in regular school. There's all kinds of that stuff that went on. So I just kind of decided early on that I wanted something different. And obviously it was going to be up to me to make it happen because I couldn't rely on anyone else to make it happen for me. And then like you said, because, my teachers were great and they, had really said, go to college. So I trusted their opinion. I took myself to school. I, paid for college on my own with a little bit of help from grants and scholarships. But what's really exciting is, like you said, when I was 19, so my beginning of my sophomore year, I knew I was going to have to find a better job than your normal college job because that's, 20 hours a week at $7 an hour is not going to pay for tuition and room and board. So that's when I found that sales job, which I had never done sales before. I'd only done like fast food and waitressing. And so, I was excited they took me on, and I learned so much with that company, just personal development, professional development, working with customers, teamwork, all that stuff. And so it allowed me to graduate college debt-free because I made enough money. I did well enough in sales. I could pay for school and room and board as I went rather than taking out loans. I also had the flexibility I needed because it was sales, so I could set my own schedule so I could focus on school. So I graduated with a 3.98 GPA out of a 4.0. So I was able to do all that. And then I just realized that I really love to be an entrepreneur, being in charge of my own fate, not having other people tell me what I am or am not capable of and put me in the position they think I should be in. So I decided at that point, I was going to stick with being an entrepreneur. And so a week before I graduated college, I opened my first business. Kind of all history from there. Awesome.
I love your story. And I love how you did not accept what other people, the role that other people cast you in. You did not accept the scripts that people handed you. You didn't accept their judgment of you, but you created your own reality. You created your own identity, and you found that in creating a business to give you the life that you want. And so I love how your story progresses. So anyone who's listening, if you think you've got challenges and things that you have to overcome, and especially if you're saying, well, I can't be successful because of all of these reasons, then take some inspiration from Aimee's story, because this could be anybody. And it all has to do with your mindset, how you approach life, and how you determine and decide that you're going to create the business you need so that you can live the life you want. So you decided at a young age that this is the path for you to create a business that works. So now here we are, fast forward more than 10 years later, and you are the owner of a $1 million plus business. Tell us a little bit more about that growth process. What do you do for people, and who do you help? Who are your ideal customers?
Well, I know you mentioned that at the beginning. So the people we really focus on are, I guess, from a simplest standpoint, they're people who have a client base of their own, and they want to be able to maximize that as well as developing new client relationships. So we really do focus on just entrepreneurs, the small business owners, and the sales professionals, the people that are usually out there working with clients and generating revenue and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So when they're newer, we've helped people, that are newer, that have a client base to start with, at least get to their first 6 figures in revenue. And then we've helped people who are at 6 figures get to their first 7 figures in revenue. The systems basically are the same. It's just a matter of, the level of stuff that we're working at with them. But we've really focused on systemizing, sales, and scaling. And so the systemizing the business to make it as efficient as possible and branded to you and all that stuff. Josh is my partner. He really focuses on helping people master their sales process because he's excellent at that. And then I really focus also, besides systems, on the scaling part. And usually that's through team building. So that's my focus.
I love that. And you obviously you practice what you preach. So you've got these systems in place. You've got the teams in place. And so basically you are working with people to reproduce that success on their own. We know for a fact that most businesses do not survive the 5-year mark. Maybe it's 3 out of 4. I don't know the exact number, but it's not encouraging to start out and realize that the odds are against you from the very beginning. What would you say is the biggest problem? Why that is? Why is it so hard for people to start a business and make it really successful?
Well, that's a really good question. What's interesting for me too, I just had this thought that the business that I am in, I never, I didn't start it out intending to actually serve other businesses, but we just would have businesses and entrepreneurs come to us and ask how to do what we do for our own business. And for years, we would just teach it and train it. But so many people were like, that's great. It sounds awesome, but I don't want to do it myself. Like, I'd rather just pay you to do it for me. Yeah. So that's kind of, it really happened organically for us as far as the growth, because we started serving people because they were coming to us to ask to be served. We actually didn't go out to find the clients in that way. And then word of mouth just kept it growing. But I think probably one of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur business is that there's so many plates to spin. Like when you get into business, it's even the same for professionals. Like a dentist might be a great dentist, but that doesn't mean he knows how to run a dental business.
That's right.
And so a lot of people get into business and to do the one thing they love or they're great at, but they don't realize that it comes with all those other things that you have to also master as a business owner or entrepreneur, like whether it's the finances or the bookkeeping or the systems or your customer service or whatever it is. And so I think for people that come to us, the biggest challenges that I usually see, the two biggest ones are they're not maximizing the client list they already have. So they've already done the work of getting clients. Now it's a matter of how to create those clients for life, like to keep them loyal and long-term, and then how to maximize the repeat business and the referrals you're getting from those. And then the second thing is that some people just don't have a system. And back to what we just said, as far as there's so many plates to spin, if you don't have a system, it feels so chaotic. It's hard to manage everything. You're always all over the place. And then the customers don't get as good of experience because maybe they're not being served at the highest level because, the entrepreneur is having the struggle of keeping everything spinning.
Yeah. I think you'd probably agree that customers and clients, they're coming to you to get clarity for solving their problems. And if they feel like that you are in chaos instead of clarity, they don't really get the confidence that you can actually help them. And so that cuts into the lifetime value. They don't come back. If you accidentally get them as a customer, and you're in chaos, you probably don't get them as a repeat customer. And so that's part of the challenge, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly right. I totally agree with that.
It sounds like what Michael Gerber would talk about, that most business owners are really technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. So, they're really good at what they do, but not necessarily really good at running a business that does that kind of work. And so that's another skill set that we have to learn. When you're working with someone and you're trying, let's take, for example, creating clients for life, creating those opportunities for repeat business. You do all of this work to try and get a customer. And then you want to maximize their value. What can someone begin to do to see some improvement in that area? Do you have any tips that would help them to do a better job of that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the first three things I would think that are absolutely a must. One, the first very basic, but just to get that client list organized and in one place. So I've worked with entrepreneurs who have, some of their customers are in their Facebook Messenger and some are in their phone and some are in their email and some are in an opt-in list on a website somewhere. And it's like they have them everywhere, but they don't have one place where all of their customer data is located. So even if that's just a spreadsheet, that is fine to start, but get everything in one place, all their contact info, what they bought, what they're looking at, the notes, prospects too, just all of that stuff. That's the first basic step. And then the second step is to get a CRM when you're ready, which CRM, if your listeners haven't heard that term before, stands for Client Relationship Management. So a CRM system is usually a web-based database of sorts where, the CRM that we use, we actually used to use a different one before we built our own, but we have one now that we and our clients use, and Vast Action CRM. And, when you're out there looking for a CRM, whether it's ours or any other, it doesn't matter which one you have as long as it suits your needs. So just be mindful that there's a lot of different ones. There's a lot of different price ranges. There's a lot of different features. So just get the CRM that it has the features you need. You don't have to overpay. If it's too complicated, you're probably not going to use it anyway, and then it's not going to help you take that step forward. So find the one you need and try not to have it all in different places. Like initially we had a database, and then we had a different email platform, and then we had a different calendar thing for follow-up tasks. That's why we built our CRM, so we could have it all in one spot. Task management, database of client data, and email platform, and some other things too that make it really, really simple. And then the third thing is to just find ways to add extra value. That's really the huge key. Like once you get yourself organized and systemized, would be consistently adding extra value. So after they've purchased that first time, adding more value that they didn't even expect, that's what's going to lead to even more, repeat business or sales down the road from those same clients.
I love that. So, very practical suggestions, but again, if we are in chaos, we can't communicate confidently with people that we can solve their problems, because most clients and customers come to us in chaos and they're looking for clarity. So I love that your suggestions are, first of all, get your act together. I mean, for crying out loud, get your customer list where it needs to be. Get all of your information consolidated, get it into a system, and then find ways to add value. So give us an example. How would a service provider, and you could pick any business type that you want, maybe one of your customers, explain, how do we add value? How do we go back after the initial sale and continue to add value to our existing customers?
Sure. Well, there are some options, because you can educate people, you can entertain people. So sometimes when it's adding value, it's just as simple as whatever product you sell. So for example, we have some entrepreneurs who sell kitchen stuff like cutlery, cookware, whatever. So if they're going to add value, they might send out things like, here's 5 steps to keeping your cutlery as sharp as possible, or here's 5 knife safety tips, or here's a recipe I thought you might really like, or just something along those lines. And then if we have people that are, say, photographers, they can send out little tips that are like, here's the best way to get that picture with the blurry background and the person is focused, or whatever, the picture we all love, like just tips how to do it. It could be like, a yoga studio sending out like, here's how to do this particular yoga move, and something that could go out every 2 weeks or once a month or something. It's just a way to be able, I guess most of the value we add is educational, but sometimes too, it's just entertainment. It's like, here's, a fun video we thought you might like, or something along those lines. So it's really not hard. It's just a matter of thinking about what you do and whatever service or product you provide, what is related to it that you could also, it's sort of like how realtors will also put you in contact with home inspectors and, carpet people and whatever, because it's all related to what they do. It's adding extra value beyond just your product or service, but with relation to it.
Yeah, that really sounds great. So then what you're really doing is stepping into the shoes of your customers and asking what else would be of value to them, over and beyond just the thing that I sold them, but what along with that thing, and even if it's something that somebody else provides, but how can I educate? How can I entertain? How can I refer? How can I make their life better? And the end result of that is they value you and your opinion in return, and they come back to you, right?
That's right. And in its simplest form, value could just be teaching them how to use what you sold them correctly. So like there are some products where they get the demo and they buy it, but then afterwards they're like, wait, I don't remember exactly how to do this. So even if you're just sending out tips on how to use what they already purchased, it's still added value. Yeah.
And the example you used of the CRM, that maybe you bought a CRM for your business, taking step 2 of your action steps here. So you go out and get a CRM, a web-based CRM like Salesforce, and it's got 1,000 moving pieces, and you've got maybe 100 or 200 customers, and you have no clue, you have no idea how to use this big old piece of software that you just bought. And so I guess Salesforce or these other CRM places, I imagine that they have some kind of training or ongoing, and they probably charge for it. But the point is being able to educate and train customers to use what they've already bought from you. That should be part of the mission. Yeah. Part of the solution that we're providing is not just the thing, but how to use the thing, how to get the most value out of the thing. And then I guess the biggest benefit of all of that is you're building lifelong relationships.
That's correct. We have clients that hear from us so regularly, like once a month at least, on just how to use what they purchased from us, that, we see them out at an event somewhere and they invite us for dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we become friends. It's not that you have to go have dinner with people, but it's just a matter of they feel so close to you sometimes because you keep in touch that they treat you as if you are a friend relationship rather than just, someone that they do business with. Perfect.
Well, and that's what it's all about, because I do believe that we are in a relationship economy, even though we do a lot of this computer stuff and putting up automated responses and sales funnels and everything, I still believe that people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so if we go out of the way to add value, build the relationship, as you say, that is creating clients for life, and it's building repeat business on a solid foundation. Plus, it's a lot easier to maintain the relationship that you already have than to go out and try to spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising to create new relationships with people that you don't know.
That's correct. And the best form of advertising is word of mouth. So the better you are at serving people, which adding value also means quick response rate, right? So like when someone reaches out and they need help responding quickly and, having a system in place so that doesn't fall through the cracks. But I do believe the better you serve people, the more likely they are to spread the word for you. And you're more likely to turn a prospect from a referral into a sale, the higher percentage, I believe, than probably any other form of advertising.
Oh, yeah. And that's
that is also going to help.
That's the third-party credibility that I talk about so much. And we spend all of this time and effort trying to talk about ourselves, and we hire, copywriters. And of course, I've done copywriting work, but you can't beat the value of a customer testimonial or a customer referral in their own words. It carries so much authority and so much credibility, far greater than what you can say about yourself. So all of these strategies are very, very simple to implement, but they create huge returns on investment for you. You're a living witness of this. Your company is Vast Action Incorporated. Tell us a little bit more about what you do for people and how working with you would really improve their chances for success.
Well, I think the first step for most people that work with us, because we provide a lot of different services depending on how deeply they want to leverage, some of the work to us. Here's the real thing. Me personally, like I grew up being told, I think by everybody, that the harder you work, the more success you'll have. And I believe that. I do. And it's probably one of the reasons I was such a hard worker. But I've learned since then that the more success you have, the more work you have also. because if you close 1,000 customers versus 100, that's 1,000 thank you cards to write and 1,000 things to put in your CRM and, whatever follows. So, it does. And so I just found that there comes this point where you physically cannot grow any further based on your own time unless you leverage some of what you do out, right? So we have some entrepreneurs who just use our CRM. That's usually the first entry. So if someone wants to check out vastactioncrm.com, you can find out more about there. We have all different levels. But anyway, some people just use a CRM. But for some people, they use our CRM, and then we also create some of the value-added pieces that they're sending out to their clients for them because they don't have the time for that or the skill set for that. For some people, we are like virtual assistants where we do some of their back-end work for them. For some people, we help with customer service support. But some of that other stuff really, like I said, just comes with people that are using us to really help them with almost all areas of their business. At the simplest form, it's just a CRM. So we're really just trying to help entrepreneurs get organized and systemized at if nothing else, those two things. Because if they can spend less time doing stuff because there's a system for it, and if it can be more consistent for their clients as well, like the messaging, meaning that, they don't get a different answer if they ask somebody else in your company every time. So it's the same answer every time.
Every time I talk to somebody different, I get a different answer,
That's right. So for me, I think if my main goal is just to help people get systemized and organized. Beyond that, if they want extra help, we're happy to speak with them and see what we can do to help them or even point them in a direction if someone we know can. But I think that's probably the first step, really.
That's perfect. What are you working on right now, Aimee, that's got you really excited?
Well, I think one of my favorite things to do is speak and train. I've just always loved that. I probably would have been a teacher if there were more money in it. But I, also have the desires to have an entrepreneurial lifestyle with the business is going well. But I love teaching. And so right now I'm working on an online training program called the Engagement Effect Formula, because I've found that a lot of people want me to come speak, but not everybody's able to go to events like that. So it's going to be a program to teach people how to create and retain a productive team. Because like I said, if they're ready to take that next step, then it's leveraging some of their work out to other people. So then that's a whole other, I think every business person I've ever talked to says the hardest part about running any business is managing people. And so just that hiring, training, managing of a team. So I really want to create that program, which I've started, is not finished yet, to have that available for people who maybe haven't done that before.
That sounds really good. So you've got levels of service for everybody, depending on where they are in their business, just getting started, trying to get organized, trying to scale it up. You've got something that will meet the needs of so many small business owners and rebelpreneurs who need that help. How can our listeners get in touch with you to learn more?
I think probably the easiest thing is our website, because the website has information. You can contact us through that, and it's got all the information about the CRM and the different things we do. So if you want to check out vastactioninc.com, and that's also where there's this link for the CRM in there. They can always reach out that way. That's probably the easiest.
Okay, vastactioninc.com, and we'll put that link on the Rebelpreneur website as well. Aimee, this has been really inspiring to hear your story and how you have overcome so much to grow your business to the place where it's really successful and really delivering results, not just for you, but for all of the customers and clients that you work with. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners before we say goodbye?
Sure. Given any opportunity, I would say, first of all, you can achieve the business and life you want no matter where you start. You just have to believe you can and then do your part. And then remember that none of us gets there alone, right? Other than yourself, your biggest asset, your greatest asset is other people. So connect with people, be kind and respectful, add value, because you're going to either need clients to join you on your path, or you're going to need, you're going to learn from other people to be better at your path, or you're going to eventually grow to the point where you have to have other people on your team helping you down that path. But it always comes down to, nobody does it alone, right? So connect, be kind, add value. That's what I would say.
I love that. Makes a lot of sense. I've been speaking with Amiee Mueller. She is the owner of Vast Action Incorporated, which supports the growth and success of entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and small business owners. She's also the author of the book Destination Awesome, which focuses on creating the life you want, and it's filled with true stories of overcoming a variety of challenges. You can find out more about Aimee and her services at vastactioninc.com. Aimee, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. Thanks so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ralph. I really enjoyed it, and you're doing great things, so I appreciate it as well.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.